Throughout the years, the world has evolved in all aspects, including literature. However, there are concepts that even time past, they will never change, like classics. As it is known, a classic is a literary work written a long time ago, being a model of imitation. That's to say, it is has much to say to readers and it is interesting.
The Tragedy of Romeo and Juliet is a well-known classic written by William Shakespeare, and it could be said is the main classic among classics. This tale is famous around the world mainly for its plot and how the main character's love is developed like a star-crossed love.
The play Romeo and Juliet was written in 1594 or 1595 by William Shakespeare when he was still young. This tale, developed in Verona, Italy, is about two wealthy families, the Montagues and Capulets, who are enemies and hate each other. Therefore, their children fall in love and marry against their family desires. The main plot of this young lovesick is all the problems and issues this young couple must face. Wealthily, their love story ends tragically, like a star-crossed lover's history. Shakespeare used the phrase star-crossed lovers to describe Romeo and Juliet's love, since it is said that those lovers whose relationship is fated to fail are frustrated by stars, because the stars control human destiny. So, the lovers' star-crossed mean that a tragedy was inevitable, just because being a star-crossed lovers.
Like every other writer and playwright, when writing a book, poem, or in the case of Romeo and Juliet, a tale, they always have sources to be inspired when writing their own work. So, what was Shakespeare based on to write this famous classic?
It is rumored that Shakespeare's source material for Romeo and Juliet was a poem called The Tragical History of Romeo and Juliet, written in 1562 by Arthur Brooke. This poem was mostly likely inspired by a novella from Matteo Bandello, written in 1554 called Giulietta e Romeo. The story then was adapted and reimagined by Pierre Boaistuau in 1559. It provided more details and it changed the ending a little, making Romeo die before Juliet wakes up from her sleep, as the Shakespeare version. Shakespeare would publish Romeo and Juliet in 1597, keeping the ending from Boaistuau's version and making the star-crossed lovers' romance last for months instead of weeks.
Watch the movies My Own Private Have you ever watched the movies My Own Private Idaho, West Side Story, Titanic, or Star Wars Revenge of the Sith? Well, even if you haven't seen them, you have heard of them, as they are some of the most famous movies of their respective times. But did you know that all these films, among others, are inspired by Shakespeare's play Romeo and Juliet?
Many stories have been written, but the most iconic, remembered, and epics are the ones of the tragedy of Romeo and Juliet. This story was also the inspiration of the basis of many love movies such as West Side Story, Titanic, Tristan and Isolde, The Notebook, among others. The actors who have played the leading roles over the years have been Edwin Booth and Ellen Terry in the 19th century, John Gielgud and Judi Dench in the 20th. In addition to film adaptations and recreation, there have also been very successful plays and they even made it to Broadway. The best adaptation of the story on film was 1919 Six Romeo and Juliet version, which stars Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes as the lead, directed by Baz Luhrmann. This film is the closest to the story of William Shakespeare's, and one of the most loved by the public. The recognition of this history has also inspired the musical field. One of the songs that in 2001 was in the top 10 world hits was made based on this story. Written by Gerard Preswarck and came out in France. This song is called Les Rois du Monde, translated to English as The Kings of the World.
Ils ont du monde autour d'eux, mais ils sont seuls dans leur chapeau, là on sourit, dans nos combats, nous on danse toute la nuit. Nous et l'amour, il y a des jours après jour, il y a des vies, on se sait,
you know more about Shakespeare's story. Do you dare to read or watch The Tragedy of Romeo and Juliet?